You have a better animation intro than I do.
I paid for it. If you're watching this means we have persisted. YouTube has been down for about an hour, and I got really close to just being like, "Hey, you want to do this tomorrow?" But I didn't really want to do this tomorrow because Matt, there's no NBA games tomorrow again, and I want to use that day to kind of not do this.
Sure.
um And it's just I'm glad YouTube is back. That's all I'll say. Matt Morris here at HP Basketball, Hardwood Paroxysm, the Denver Dig, both on Substack. Locked on Nuggets, Locked on NBA has his own YouTube channel, hosts of Buckets on the Action Network podcast, where we work together quite frequently. And also Agitator on Twitter, it appears. According to some people. Now, I gotta tell you, Matt, I defend you behind your back a lot. A lot.
This is like the
Because
worst compliment ever. Because it's like, hey, I care about you, so I defend it from all of the people. The constant amount of criticism you get behind your back. It's not make me feel good.
multiple people or multiple discourse that I'm in, they're like, oh, this guy, this fucking HP Basketball, Matt Moore, whatever. And I'm like, no, he's a great dude. Like, honestly, seriously, legitimately. And they just share your tweets and you're just arguing with people. And I'm like, hey, man, like, things happen, whatever. He really cares about this stuff. And I'd like to, before we talk about Kevin Durant, Adam Silver, and tanking, can you please tell us why you keep getting into fights and like just defend yourself a little bit? I'll give you the platform to do it. I'll be the New York Times basically when AOC calls them and it's like, listen, people are getting this story wrong. I need to clarify my position on certain things because people are stupid and don't understand what I'm saying. AOC didn't actually say that, but in other words, I'm speaking for her. So I need you to speak now on your own behalf. What's going on in these Twitter streets, Matt? Come on.
I mean, So in high school, I got a good friend of mine gave me a button. This is before most of the internet existed. And the button just said, I am a shameless agitator.
To you.
Yes.
Oh, this is good.
And I think here's the thing. I like good arguments. I don't like bad arguments. I often make bad arguments. I try and get better at that. I want us to be as close to the accurate truth as possible. I think that the accurate truth matters. I think that there is a truth in this universe beyond our own perception. Like, I do not believe in relativism. Like, there is an objective truth to the universe. Not in everything, but in a lot of matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially like in basketball, and it's like, well, it's just basketball. Sure. But eventually you do have to make this decision if you do this like I do, where it's like, I do this all day long. This is what I do. Like, this is what I do with my time. Is like, I've got an hour. Okay, let's sit down and watch Bouye tape from the Suns. Okay, I've got an hour. Let's see how the Nets are guarding pick and roll. Right. And I care about it because I do love the game. And so I'm willing to argue these things in extension. And I find that Twitter used to be, once upon a time, was a pretty good way to have good conversations. And every now and again, I still learn things. Like, I learn a lot of things.
Once upon a time, yes.
And I still think I do. It's just, it's just worse. And you have to put limits on yourself.
Yeah.
And some days I do, and some days I don't. Like, I haven't been on it too much today because I've been doing other stuff. Like, I've written 4 articles in 2 days, and like,
and parent,
like, my kids are home. Like, I played basketball with my daughter for an hour. Like, I watched The Night at the Museum yesterday and Back to the Future Part 3, both of which are still hold up and are excellent.
Back to the Future 3.
Yes, because we watched the first 2, so I need to watch the third one.
Don't love the third one.
So,
I like 1 and 2.
Yeah, in general. What typically happens is, like, I will weigh it. And so, I mean, a good example of it is I will engage on stuff. I don't just like drop the take and then walk away, because I have in my head stuck an egalitarian view, which is like, everybody deserves an audience. Like, I don't think I'm too good for anybody. And I take criticism from others because they're like, you're arguing with a guy with like 15 followers. And I was like, yeah, but like, if he's got a point, if it's just like, you're a clown. I'm just going to block them. But if you want to have the argument, like, let's have the argument. And maybe, and with some of them, I can actually like reach a point where they're like, okay. Now, like, there's other times when it's like, I'm trying to make a point about something else entirely. And I wind up stepping into a whole other world because it's too late. Like, Kevin Durant made comments that essentially said, the white athletes don't get criticism. We get criticism. That's a double standard. That's not fair. Then, in response to somebody else talking about Jokic after the game, despite having heard KD's comments, I was trying to offer a perspective of like, yeah, it sucks that he doesn't try. The problem is just like, he's never going to like, he's never like, this is not how he's going to be. He's never going to engage. Like, he's never going to. He does not care about any of this stuff. So I don't even know what the point is. Whereas like Ant, I feel like is receptive to that criticism. But I should have like written an article about it or done a podcast about it or done something else, because instead what I did was I put out a tweet and then Van Lathan was the first. And once Van Lathan found it, like,
yes,
now we're off.
Nobody Jones found it.
Well, here goes the day.
Yeah.
Okay. And like that was it. And it sucks.
And it comes off as and people, because it comes down, it becomes a race war.
Yes.
With
and
Jokic.
well, and the problem is the other thing here is that you know how I feel about politics.
That's what, and I think enough people don't understand that, and I give you a lot of credit
and this is very big.
Yeah.
The assumptions that are made are what upset me the most.
Agreed.
I do not mind if you want to argue, if you want to ask me like, oh, so do you believe this? And I'll be like, no, of course not. Like, that's absolutely not true.
Correct.
If you want to be like, do you not understand that there is a stereotype about the lazy black man? And I'd be like, no, there absolutely is. And I should have been more cognizant of that when I made those comments and made sure to frame that in my comment,
right,
or written about it or talked about it as in order to cover those things. And that was my fault, right? Like, right. It's weird because there's an idea on the public sphere that if you are one of the people that do what I do, you always think you're right. I don't. You never admit you're wrong. I always do.
Same.
I constantly am admitting I was wrong about something. You think you're better than everybody else. I do not. I act like it. It's not intentional. It's just like, it's my natural face. It's my resting expression, is like a smug superiority masking like what is like a deep insecurity. And so it just sucks because now, like, for a day, I became like the face of like the entitled white media member defending the white player, when like what I was really trying to say is like, yeah, he doesn't try fucking on defense either.
You were explaining how Nikola Jokic works.
Yeah, as somebody that has covered him for the entirety of his career.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. And I totally understand. Now, like, one of the other things here I will say is like, when I respond to things, there's no follow-up. It's just the quote tweet and out.
What I would say,
I'm like,
what I would probably say is maybe don't do it during Black History Month.
Fair. But I also like wasn't even trying to get into like I was.
No, I know.
Like, I wasn't engaging on that side of the conversation because like I was only talking about Nikola.
I think it's because it's Jokic. Like, that's how it's how it'll be taken, because there are people, not you. There are people who want to look at this through the lens of, because remember how Jokic versus Embiid that just became a race war.
Yeah.
And for a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I know where you are with shit. Right. And I think more people who follow you should be clear.
Well, it's also, I don't know. But that's the thing that really bugs me is like, if you don't follow me, I don't have mentions turned on for people that don't follow me.
Which I think is smart. I hadn't even considered that until you told me.
Yeah, I don't care.
Right.
But if you follow me, it is not hard to suss out, based off of my retweets, which side of various fences I land on.
Correct. Yes.
And that's like a multi-year thing. And I'm not saying that like it's totally okay to still like ask questions or even be offended and like, if you tell me like, hey, this really offended me, I've been following your work for a while, I'll be like, oh God, I'm so sorry. Like, I genuinely am so sorry.
I know that. Yep.
Like, never meant that. But what I don't understand in large part is the assumptions that are made on all sides about jumping to this. And it's because it does become this thing of the media. Like, somebody immediately went to the Josh Allen comp. Like, immediately went to the Josh Allen comp.
And listen, talk about somebody who gets favorable coverage.
See, and you say that, and I don't think so, because I follow all the people that are like, you know who doesn't get criticized enough?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So
well, we've talked about this as it pertains to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Right.
Where I would make the point like, listen, yes, Angel Reese gets too much criticism because of how she carries herself, because of who she is and how she looks like, because people are unfair to her in various different ways. Um, that's not to say that people are unfair to Caitlin Clark, although I would say that that's probably the case to a much lesser extent. But I think that, I mean, come on.
You're like, I'm willing to see, but I'm willing to see this is a multi-sided issue. As long as we understand it's more one-sided.
Yeah. Listen, Caitlin Clark's a better basketball player than her. Like, I'm not disputing that. But look, the various forms of criticism, like uh, uh, Kevin Durant saying to the effect of black players are always going to get it worse. I mean, yeah, that's gonna happen, unfortunately.
So
Um,
I guess
I think with Jokic specifically though, the point you're trying to make is not that he doesn't deserve criticism, it's just that
right.
he doesn't give a shit. That's different.
Criticize him. I criticize him all the time. I've said he's quit on playoff series. He quit in 2020 in game 3 versus the Jazz. I thought he quit in game 3 versus the Clippers. Like I've said this. I have a post up on Dig talking about like, hey, you want to know what the defensive problem with Denver is? It's Nikola Jokic.
What about Minnesota also?
Yeah, and like, and to me it's difficult because from where I'm at, I'm like I've covered a black league and tried to be understanding and respectful of the fact that it is a black league at all points. Like I don't claim ownership of any of it,
right?
You know? And I try and be very cognizant of that privilege. And I think this is like I do think it's a good example of like, you just got to be really cognizant of how you can want to talk about something, but not everybody, to a large number of people, it's about something else. And
because honestly, like, and people don't like hearing this because of where we are now, just in general, right? Like as a country, as a society, as a culture, but everything gets pointed back to race. And I think that you can find race in everything, whether it's basketball coverage, whether it's the actual sport, whether it's the evaluation of certain prospects, whether it's the critiquing of certain people. Like,
what are the
there's
things
always gonna be a racial dynamic.
I don't understand the argument that like Jokic has gotten this pass when it's like he literally lost an MVP because people were just like, can't give it to the white dude again. Like, I don't understand how there's like a real idea that he has been shielded from criticism, because he has been, like, people do point out his defensive lapses. People do point out like all of his issues. And
to be fair, there are also people who are like that they think he's overrated still.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's a thing too. So I don't know. I think
I think there's an assumption. I think are assumptions made of media members based off of historical patterns, when it's like those people aren't the ones that have the jobs now. Right? Like, that's one thing I don't think that gets talked about. It's like, well, historically, and it's like, okay, but like
now it's the former athletes.
Like, this media group isn't 1996's media group, right? And that's not to say that I don't think that these biases exist, because there's a million points of data that they do.
Former players who are taking over now also have other biases also. Some of them towards Jokic, some of them towards other players that they played with that they didn't like necessarily. Like,
and I just want to be like, I'm not going to try and dictate. You know, you mentioned like talk about that, like even talk about this during Black History Month is like, come on, right? But you asked the question, so I will talk about it like in regards to why I get in the fights.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like what also is aggravating is I posted like, hey, this is a bad tweet. Like, after talk, like, haven't seen replies. Like, clearly this was a bad tweet. Here's what I was trying to say, and here's what I did not mean to.
Right.
And like, I understand it's a bad look.
Right.
4 likes, no retweets.
Of course.
Nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. Nobody cares. Right.
And showing self-awareness is not cool on Twitter.
Yeah. And well, and that's part of the thing is like, it is one of the bummers is you can use Twitter as a place to actually learn things. Cause I learn a lot about teams and fans and fan bases and like all sorts of things. Like, I learned a lot about those different mechanisms, and I do enjoy some conversations that I get to have on there.
Yeah.
But it has become just very much largely a dunk contest.
Yes.
And
perfect.
And some people are just like, it's just for jokes. I'm like, that's fine. That's okay. But it also very clearly is just like not a place that I can send any sort of serious thoughts. But yeah, the only thing that really gets under my skin is when there are accusations, when it's like when people try and apply a certain archetype of political alignment, which is not only not true in my case, it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't really do politics. I try and stay out of that. I just want to cover sport. No, if you come up and ask me a question, I will tell you, fuck ice.
Yeah, correct.
Like, you want to have a conversation? We can have a conversation about my political beliefs all day long. I don't talk about it online, in part because I'm not a political science expert. I am not an expert in any socioeconomic field.
Also, bots.
It's not what people come to me for. So I try and amplify the messages that I think are important to amplify when they come across my page. Mm-hmm. That's the best way I can do it. I got 150,000 followers before the woohoo, half are bots, whatever. But I try and amplify the good messages. I donate to the causes that I do. And if you want to have a personal conversation with me, I will be glad to tell you my position on certain political alignments, which do not align with the idea of what's being assigned to me. And it's fine. It's okay. Like, just don't make the assumption of these things.
But unfortunately, as a bald white dude,
okay, like under I didn't even choose that.
I know, but I just think as a bald white dude, people are gonna make the assumption, and I'm here to tell people, because if you follow me, you know where I'm at with shit. Like, I'm wearing the shirt of Allen Iverson stepping over current president. Right now, like, shout out to Dan Carson. But like, listen, I'm not. I say this because I'm not here, not trying to defend like every single white reporter there is covering the NBA, because some of them be tripping. But Matt's not one of them, is what I would say. All right, let's.
Which again, I just wanted to wrap this up. It's not to say that I don't think I make mistakes, because I do.
We all do, and I think. I think more people need to realize, yes, just because we have these discussions and we give our analysis, vulnerabilities and whatnot, doesn't mean we always think we're right, because that if you're talking in the microphones all the time, and if you're writing all the time, you're putting out stuff every day, basically, we know we're not going to be right all the time. Just some of us actually have the self-awareness to admit that and actually evolve from that. Other people don't, and that's where we could have other conversations about just the media landscape in general, but I don't, we have other stuff to get to, but I think this was great. It was productive. And,
I feel better. Thanks for letting me get it off my chest.
Yeah. We'll see how many people watch this clip, because I'll put it out, but
no, do not put it out. You keep this on YouTube, sir. Keep it on YouTube. Do not put this on Twitter.
I'll put the clip out on YouTube, the clip of the segment, not the actual. Yeah. No, we'll do that. All right. Speaking of people who need self-awareness, Kevin Durant,
oh man,
may have a burner account floating around, where he is allegedly, we have to say allegedly, reportedly, producers Future and Antonio in the back love this. We're gonna bring them in at the end to talk about this stuff. But Kevin Durant, supposedly, reportedly, and I'll pull up some screenshots here. Allegedly, we have to say allegedly. It doesn't look great, but we have to say allegedly. Is talking about his teammates behind his back. And I gotta say this, Matt, as somebody who really admires Kevin Durant's work on the court, but has had questions about his leadership on the court and why certain situations have gone the way they've gone on the court. This does provide some measure of intrigue for me, specifically because the 2 + 2 could equal 4 here, I guess is what I'm saying. But I'll pull up the screenshots and then toss it to you here, or at least some of them, because there are a lot. And we'll go to Brick Center for this, because this is what we do now. We just get our stuff off of Twitter. So Get Off My Dickerson is supposedly the name of this account that is allegedly, possibly, potentially being run by Kevin Durant. Burner account that was it had the owl backdrop photo, the header photo on the Twitter account, the same owl that Kevin Durant had on his own Twitter. So that didn't look great. Coach called that play to pass to Alpi, LOL, to Alperen Şengün, his teammate. I'm gonna turn the ball over with this shitty ass team, he says. Allegedly, I don't give a fuck. Your franchise player can't shoot or defend. That's a way bigger issue than my turnovers. Remember, these guys are your future. He's talking to Rockets fans, reportedly, allegedly, adding in all the qualifiers. I'm not gonna lie. I think he did this shit. I can't trust Jabari to make a fucking shot or get a stop. Is another one, and he also called him the R word, which I'm now gonna move off the screen. We've gotten really comfortable saying that again. I don't like that shit, but
Yeah,
that's
it's not
another
cool.
story for another day. I don't think that's a word that should have made a comeback. Also compared Devin Booker and I'm forgetting who else to Frank Vogel to Stalin and Hitler, and then Mussolini and King Kim Jong Un, which you know I probably wouldn't go that far with anybody in the NBA, but yeah. So, your thoughts on this or what?
I mean, what is the reason you believe it's real?
It's there are too many. So here's the thing: there are too many signs. I hope it's not, but there are too many signs. The team also, from a chemistry standpoint, doesn't appear to be gelling the way that we
Right.
think it should,
Right.
and he hasn't tweeted since this happened.
So here's a couple things.
I'm at least open to the idea of like I can't dismiss this. I usually would be like, whatever, but I can't dismiss this. There's
Yeah, for
enough
sure.
here for 2 plus 2 to equal 4. But
Yeah, and the
yeah.
problem is just like we're not like if there are other players, we'd be like, no way. No,
He's on his phone all the time. He kind of
like,
does this to himself.
Yeah, like he wouldn't do that. He doesn't spend any time on Twitter. Come on now. Like Anthony Edwards is not doing this.
James Harden's not doing this.
James Harden's not doing this. Right? Russell Westbrook's not doing this.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's not doing this, right?
Yeah.
Steph would just be like, he's like the nicest guy. He was like, all of his DMs would just be positive things.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler's not doing this.
Jimmy, like Steph would just be like, he prayed with me the other night. So he prayed for that housing development to go away. So I think,
see, guys,
my thing here is this is so blatant. I don't believe it. It's just too.
I'm open to the idea.
There are people in the league who have reason to want the Rockets to not have chemistry, but who have said Durant and Alperen Sengun don't get along.
Mm-hmm.
And that Ime Udoka and Kevin Durant are in alignment, and Sengun is not their guy. And Sengun, to me, looks like a guy who is like, that's what Sengun has played like this year to me, is he looks like a guy who everything was going great for him. And now it's like he's on the outs and feels all this pressure and doesn't know like how to make his coach or his star player happy. He looks really uncomfortable with that kind of situation.
Katie would say you're keeping up for the white guy again. Just be careful.
Jabari. That Jabari's maybe the one I don't believe, right? Because I just don't think that he would do that to a young guy. I just don't. I don't think he would be like, Jabari sucks. I just don't. I don't think he would do that. I just don't. I think he'd be like, he's young, he'll figure it out because he knows the learning curve.
I mean, look, I hope you're right. I would hope that he didn't do this.
I just don't necessarily believe it. And
could you explain it if it's okay? If it's not him, is it a friend or something like that? Is it like, what do we think here then? Because I don't want to believe this happened. It's just
that you want to believe a little bit.
No, I don't.
You love shit like this.
I don't want Kevin Durant calling one of his teammates the R word. You know what I mean? I don't want him beefing with Alperen Sengun. And I like what the Rockets can be. So just also just as someone who covers this stuff and as a consumer, like, I don't want to see the Rockets fall down this sort of rabbit hole because it's kind of nasty if it's all true. And then it will put a dent in, I hate using the L word, but legacy of one of the great players that I've ever seen and one of the greatest scorers we're ever going to have, just because people will then look at, the Nets situation fizzled out because of this. The Sun situation fizzled out because of this. The Thunder situation fizzled out. Like they'll just continue. They'll just start to work backwards and trace a lot of things back to him, fairly or not. Now, if he's earned that, he's earned that. But we do need to get to a resolution here. Like, I don't know if there's going to be like any punishment if this is true. I do find it interesting though that he has not said anything since. And
Yeah,
somebody who says something all the time, like
yeah.
you kind of put yourself in that position to
But here's
where
the thing:
like
is he's not on it every day. He opens his phone, he
3
comes
days
in,
now, going on 4, you know?
like he comes in, he starts shit, he pops in people's mentions like mine, and then he leaves, and then he does other things because he makes $50 million a year, and it's like
M
he hasn't
more
responded to
with
any of this at all,
endorsements and
sir.
business
Yeah,
stuff.
you know why? Because he flew to Turks and Caicos or wherever he just chose to wherever beautiful tropical island he's chosen to spend the 3 days before he's got to go back to Rockets training or Rockets camp. Is like
Yeah,
that's it. Like
yeah.
I am not at all surprised that he hasn't responded because also if this is false and he responds to it, every time somebody says, "Oh, these are Kevin Durant's burners," he's got to now he has to deny it because if he denies it now, and the next time somebody else comes up and says it, he's going to do it again and again and again. Like there's no
Yeah,
benefit to it.
yeah.
And I think that oftentimes there's drama in the NBA and teammates don't get along, but I think it's never as dramatic as we make it out to be because it's like I work
Usually not, but
there's you know this like wherever you work with people that you're just like I don't fuck with that guy. That's it. That's as far as it goes. It's like yeah, I don't really like him, but it's whatever.
I let me not do it.
Don't
I can't.
don't
That's
no
just
don't don't
let me get away from that one.
no.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanna add because you gotta go with a few, so I do wanna get to
Oh, we can
Adam
keep
Silver.
talking. Let's talk some more basketball. I got some time.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I do wanna get to Adam Silver also, but what I will say on the Kevin Durant thing is like, um, I the Rockets are in a situation where they need because they accelerated this timeline by getting Kevin Durant and extending him, and this needs to go well, over the next couple months and potentially beyond that, depending on how long they last in the playoffs, assuming they get there, which I will assume they get there. Fred VanVleet has the ACL injury. You have things that you can do in the offseason, and it's like this could all kind of crumble if this is true. Like I think it could rise to that extent. Like
I don't think so. I think the end result here is like the way this ends up is most likely that they trade Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., and a pick for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kyle
that's
Kuzma.
okay. I agree with that. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what I mean. Like this
Yeah.
current iteration of the team
Yeah.
is broken up.
Yeah, and that's kind of thing is like what this
Might
might come
happen
down.
anyway.
Now, what I will say is like this might put pressure where if you're, let's say that this is false, but if you're one of Jabari's or Alperen's, if you're in their groups, you're probably being like, "Hey, man, did you see this?"
Yeah.
And like Şengün was asked about it, which by the way, don't do that. That's come
Don't ask
on.
players about this.
I just think it's unless you can confirm it, you're asking them to respond to something they probably haven't seen that may or may not be true. And if you want to ask about it, you need to go confirm its validity. You need to go verify it. If you go verify it and then you ask, that's good process. But or if somebody else does, just wait for somebody else to be like, yeah, we confirmed this is real. Like this is like Durant, or you have to get Durant to say it. Like you have to get Durant to admit it. There's no other way.
It's
Because like,
also I just wanted to add, let's also remember Ime Udoka, famously big fan of Alperen Şengün.
right. This is the thing is like there's so that's part of the thing here is like there are like breadcrumbs here to the whole collective story, which is that Katie and Ime are like, these kids are not serious. Get them out of here so we can win. And the Rockets front office, including, by the way, my understanding is a son of managing governor Tillman Fertitta, who is Patrick Fertitta, is also like he is among the people that are like, no, we should take it slow. Like we've got this really good young core. Like they really love Alperen. They love Alpi and they love Reed Shepherd and that whole thing. And so, and I wrote about this, which is if you're in that front office group, if you're Raphael Stone, if you're those guys, you want to job security is, hey, we got lots of time. These guys are only going to get better. That extends your time because you can just be like, they're going to get better. right?
When you trade for Kevin Durant, though,
Well, but they didn't trade many assets is the thing.
I agree, but
Right.
what are you getting
Right.
KD for then?
But so and that's the thing is like KD's like, I'm not here to just like be good. I want to win a
Right.
championship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
And
He's like, "What are
that,
you talking about? I'm here. We're trying to win now
right.
in
And
my
that,
19th season."
and I think Ime was probably very likely pushing for the trade because Ime, like the coach, does not want to take a long time. If it takes a long time for this to come to fruition, he gets fired. Like
Right.
there's a lot of Rockets fans that want him gone. So I'm just very curious to see how what I see. It may not be a power struggle, but it's a power conflict. And then I don't know how it's going to shake out when we get to July.
All right. Adam Silver. So I'll ask it this way. Does he deserve the criticism that he gets? He's getting a lot now
Yes.
for
No, I just say like yes.
Okay, go ahead. I won't even continue with
So
that.
I wrote a big thing on this that's important that will provide people, I think, with more context. One of the things to keep in mind here is to see the whole board. I always talk about this, where if you really want to understand what's going on in the NBA, you need to see the whole board. LeBron basically puts out a letter before the season where he's going to opt into his thing, thanking the Lakers organization. Do you think he does that if he's going to re-sign this summer? Does that seem like what's going to happen when you put together all the they didn't contact Anthony Davis and they didn't call Rich Paul to be like, hey, we're trading your client in the middle of the night? No, like you can look back at the history of this league and every huge moment even the Luka Doncic trade.
Yeah.
Even that one. It was so crazy you couldn't believe it. But in retrospect, Windhorst flame throwing him on national TV on SportsCenter should have been like, did he just do that? Like, there's no way that Windhorst did this off. Like he said, like they're frustrated with him.
League partner. ESPN.
Like that should have been like a shot across the bow of like, hey, maybe things aren't as solid with Luka in Dallas, but we just couldn't believe it because it's Luka. Mm-hmm. To get back to like this whole thing, when I talk about the breadcrumbs, Silver comes in and 84 days later, the Donald Sterling TMZ tapes drop in 2014.
Yep.
And he understood what a moment that was, that where the fans were at, the country was at, the players were at, the league was at, the online culture was. This was a moment to remove a problem. An owner in a major market who was not only a scumbag, but also wasn't profitable. Right? There's that part of it too.
Yeah, that's important.
So at the time, Cuban makes a comment openly that says, I'm not really comfortable with this. Like his comments were disgusting. We need to figure out how to like manage the situation, but I'm not necessarily comfortable with an owner being removed. He said the words with property being divested, which is essentially like he's making an allusion to like socialism of like the government being the NBA taking your property and redistributing it. Right. Now what happened was Sterling's wife had him ruled incompetent. Ownership transferred to her and she sold. So they managed to avoid that.
Yeah.
But since that time, you had to know that the owners were like, hey, we hired you because you absolutely murdered the players in the CBA in 2011. You were our bulldog. Because he was. That's what people don't realize. He was the bad guy in the room. David Stern, was the one that was like, guys, can we just like have basketball? Can we be a little bit reasonable here? And getting with the old ownership legacy guys, the Busses, the Peter Holtz, and trying to be like, can we like come to an agreement? And the new age VC funded owners being like, no, we want the hard cap. And breaking the players. Silver was the one on the league side that led that attack on the players in those negotiations, according to multiple reports. Okay. So he earns all this goodwill and he carries it over and he gets Sterling gone. But since that time, he has walked a line of, I work for the owners. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I serve at the pleasure of the board of governors.
And making them money, more and more
And
money.
making them money. As you bought for $550, you're selling for $3 billion. You bought for $3 billion, you're selling for $7 billion. You bought at $5 billion, you're selling for $10 billion. Like valuation, hand over fist, media deals, all of this stuff, right? They've made more. This is one of the things that's driven people crazy is they're like, wait, so we have all these problems with the game and the games are worse, but the money keeps going up. Like the last media deal infuriated people that have the political alignment that people think I do. Like infuriated them because they wanted the NBA to fail and instead they made all this money.
Right.
But at the same time, the problem is that if you are going to stand the way that what people don't understand, the biggest misconception amongst fans is their conception of the power structures in the NBA. They think that the rotations are set by the coaches. The coaches decide who plays and when. Wrong. Your star player says, I want to play the entire first quarter, take a 4-minute break, and then play out the rest of the half because I want to be able to get my rhythm. Second best player says, well, I'd like to play the whole first quarter. Coach says, can't do that. Star player is going to play the whole first quarter. We need you to stagger. How do you want to stagger? Okay. So I want to come out. That's how that works. Likewise, everybody thinks like, well, the teams are subject to the league. Wrong. Because especially on this matter, and this has happened, I've talked to people in the league about this.
Yeah.
You call and you're like, why was this player out? Oh, he's got an ankle injury. Did you do an MRI? We're not going to tell you that. What do you mean you're not going to tell us that? Was he hurt or was he not? How do you know he's hurt if you didn't do an MRI? We're not going to reveal that information. That's important to us. Leagues treat all of their information and they all act as if whatever it is, whether it's winning a random Tuesday night game versus the Wizards or losing a random Tuesday night game versus the Magic, whatever it is, their business is more important and they're not beholden to anybody except their bosses and their owner. And the league has no right to interfere with any of that. And Silver has kind of put up with it because, again, he was working for the owners who are the owners of these teams. So now he's reached a point where there's been enough blowback. And here's what you're going to see is you're going to see him. He started this weekend. He used the phrase this weekend on his Saturday press conference. He said, quote, tanking is a matter of, there's a little bit to this tanking matter of you know it when you see it. That phrase is extremely important because what it does is it removes his discretionary punishment out of what he prefers, which is we're going to do a study and we're going to have a research and we're going to hire a law firm and we're going to investigate and we're going to present all the findings and we're going to come to a conclusion. Adam Silver has a scientific and legal framework to most of the decisions that he makes. We've done the studies on injuries and it's concluded this, so we're not going to change this, or we've found that this is probably what's going to work. He wants to be very meticulous and studious versus Stern was like, you want to go?
Right.
How about you go fuck yourself? How about that?
Yeah.
That's how Stern was. And so with Silver saying the words, you know it when you see it, is him saying, I have the discretion to punish you if we all know that this is tanking. It doesn't matter what you say. Oh, no, he was ill. Oh, no, we're just trying to play the young guys. No, you're tanking. We're finding it. And he is moving I think he'll move back in the right direction now. We're probably going to have an entirely different conversation about Adam Silver in 2 years. The line he's got to walk is he's got to not take away the draft picks. He's got to not take away the draft picks. That's the big one. If he does that, it's going to be a problem.
The interesting thing is what he gets a lot of shit for is being too player friendly now.
Yep.
Which from afar, it could appear like because of what you said earlier with how 2011 was handled, he could be overcompensating now. But I think the larger issue is, and among the larger issues is, what you said is important. Like the quality of the game is not the same. This is why I've said in the past, the best balance of basketball we've probably had, at least recently, I felt like was probably early to mid 2010s. Yep. Coincidentally, Adam Silver is in charge mid 2010s until now. The quality of the actual product has taken a hit over that time. And I think even people who really, really love this shit, if they're being completely honest, they should say the same things.
Yeah. My thing on tanking has been very simple, and Jazz fans just got all fucking bent out of shape.
Yeah.
Because I said this thing, and this is like I've decided like it's a matter of opinion. You can think that it's worse to sit guys because fans don't get to watch them. You're going to lose anyway. You're still making a choice to reduce your win probability. I feel very strongly that in a January game with a 5-point fourth quarter lead, pulling your starters and doing it as the game goes along to be like, oh, we're up 5. Okay, we're going to pull this guy. We went up 10. All right, we'll pull the other guy. We're still up 5. Pull the other guy. That is throwing games. That's not tanking to me. That's throwing a game. And it's only for this year. I don't have a thing against the Jazz. I totally get it. They got screwed by the lottery. It's a problem.
Did they?
Right? Yes.
You got the 5th pick. I mean,
if you were as bad as they were last year, if you're as bad as Washington was, you need to be in the top 3. You don't need we did not need the Mavericks and the Sixers and these teams getting rewarded. We just don't. And the only reason they got rewarded was not because we felt like those teams deserve it. That's not why they flattened the lottery. It was to try to avoid this, right? Yeah. But my thing is the games are worse. That's it. I just want the games to be better. I watch this league year after year, and I will continue to watch it, and I will do it every night and be happy and glad. It's a privilege to watch this league and these players who are the best in the world, and there will be great games, especially the 2 weeks after All-Star is awesome because they're all rested. But we're going to get to about March 10th, and we're going to have nights of just like, oh, God, this is like AI slop with how bad this is. Mm-hmm. These are just bad games. They're just bad. One team's banged up, injured, exhausted on 3 and 4 nights, 5 and 7, got in at 2 a.m., just wants it to end. They just want to go to bed. And the other team is like, well, we only need to lose this game because the Wizards lost last night. So they're going to be like, we're going to do all this nonsense. You just need games where you should be able to go. You should be able to go to a game, pay $50 for a ticket. Imagine that. But pay $50 for a ticket, go in.
Maybe a Nets ticket.
Right. Go in and watch 2 teams try and win a basketball game. Doesn't have to be the best players. Doesn't have to be a close game. It can be a blowout. But I have to feel like I know that both teams are like, we want to win this game. I have to feel like that.
Right.
This is professional sports.
But also, who's going to show up matters a ton. I know they're trying to get more transparent with the injury reports, or at least there's been an effort to do so. And this is where I have sympathy for the consumer, the fan who can't pay for tickets on the regular.
Right.
And they don't have time because of their jobs and their work-life balance. They can't monitor injury reports all day long. You show up to the arena an hour in advance, and it's like, oh, Nikola Jokic, maybe not Nikola Jokic, because other than his recent injury, he tends to play, but like Steph Curry is out all of a sudden, or whomever it is, like whoever you're paying to see, especially if you're in a market, like, for example, if you're in New York and you're not a Knicks fan, let's say you're a Nets fan, and yes, people, they do exist. I used to cover the team. They actually exist. You're probably paying for, okay, when is LeBron coming to town? When is this person coming to town? And if this person is not playing, you were upcharged, however much money it is, like $180 for a ticket, for a ticket, then $180 for, your son, your daughter, whomever. Maybe you brought your wife, maybe you brought whoever. The party of 3, party of 4. You spent hundreds of dollars on these tickets. Obviously, food is going to be expensive at the arena because a steak sandwich is $20. Or if you want a pizza, it's going to be like $18 or $16. Not to mention a drink, which is going to be another $8 or $6. It's ridiculous. Parking. Like that's rent for some people. Like that one instance, like that's rent for some people.
If you want to take your kids and have good tickets to, if you got a family of 4 and you want to take your kids to a game, you were talking about $1,000.
Yeah, and I think this is another thing that Adam Silver has to try to fix. But like, this is one of the main things I think needs fixing is just kind of transparency with your fans, because you want them to watch the product and support the product. And the in-arena live experience is not like great, but that's like a team specific thing. But also, like, you need to be able to satisfy your customers. And not just doing it with, hey, here's a 10-minute montage of what happened last night. Here are the highlights and the best plays or whatever. Like, you want people to want to go to the game. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And regular, like, I think the NBA Cup helps regular season basketball, but that shit is done before Christmas.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yes, like all of this. And you know, Kerr was in town. This is God. I'm so old. This is like 7 or 8 years ago. He was in Denver. And this family, I ran into this family of 4 in the parking lot. Mom and a dad and 2 boys. Both kids had Steph jerseys. And they were like, "Hey, do you know if Steph's going to play tonight?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's a back-to-back." And I was like, "I hope so." He was like, "We drove from Kansas. I really hope so. This is like the only time that we're going to be able to see him." And Kerr, I didn't tell anybody because like I don't want to put that like, you know, not trying to guilt anybody into anything, but like Kerr volunteered pregame. He's like, "Steph and Dre are out tonight. Steph and Clay and Dre. I hate it. They hate it. They want to go. They know that the fans pay to see them, but you know, they're in the red in terms of where they're at by the
injury
training
risk.
staff,
Yeah.
and we've just got to do the right thing." And LeBron should have been like the final say on this. Like when LeBron 2 weeks ago said the game is different now, when he came out and said the game is harder now.
Yeah.
Like these injuries are because the game is harder. It's not guys being soft. It's not guys being weak.
Pace. The pace is
Pace and space.
ridiculous.
It's pace and space.
The ground that they have to cover is ridiculous. And
Mike Prater's got a great book on this. He's an editor at The Athletic. He used to write SB Nation. He's got a great book on this.
Yeah, and what I call this generation the AAU kids, meaning like we have like the generation now of guys who grew up playing 5 games in a weekend, who were just playing tournament after tournament, who were playing year-round basketball, and not like Donovan Mitchell, for example, who's playing multiple sports growing up.
Yes,
a good
Range,
player.
another great book. There's like there's information out there,
and also there's the other piece of this is where like in the 2000s, if I'm going to a game, like my brother was a net season ticket holder for a decade. I would go and I wouldn't. I know Steve Nash was going to be here. I know Ray Allen was going to be here. You know what I mean? I knew I was going to get to see Kevin Garnett. I knew I was good. Like it wasn't a question unless they had like a real thing, and we weren't monitoring injury reports like that. Like it was rare that you would get surprised in like 2009. You know what I mean? Or 2010 when it came to this stuff. I just think that's like a really important thing that's going to need addressing. And also the other piece of this with the injury portion of this is also flying. Like the amount of times these guys fly at the times they're doing it, they're not getting sleep. You know what I mean? Like,
and there's data on that, and the league has it, and they've said like, well, we've
Damian Lillard got a blood clot. Victor Wembanyama got a blood clot.
Yeah, we've seen like 4 blood clots in 3 years.
That can happen with excess flying, and especially like people have to remember these guys are 7 feet, 6'8", like they're abnormally tall, big human beings.
Yeah, plus like whatever vitamins and supplements that they're being given, not like anything, not anything like bad. I'm just talking about normal stuff, like can affect the body.
Yeah,
they'll never shorten the schedule. I accept it. I hate it, but they'll never. I wish that we could just do that. It would be so great if we had a 60-game season. There's no tanking.
Too capitalistic of a society. They're not going to do it.
Yep. But if that's the case, back up the season 3 weeks, the beginning of October, stretch it out another week into April to where it's the last week of April. You push one more week into the finals into mid-June. You do the end of June for the draft. Push it 1 week. If you went back 3 weeks and pushed 1 week and added a month, that gets us home on solving most of the problems of 3 and 4s, 5 and 7s. And then
by the way,
teams to be able to practice, and that would be a fucking dream for them.
By the way, and I've made this point before, the best teams in Europe, they don't play anything near 82 games in a season.
But also
they play like 60-something games.
But also in this is just like the reason that we're talking about eliminating the draft picks and let's have a tournament, which I just can't stand because I'm just like, guys, you cannot have players competing for someone else to take their job. Like, how would you like it if it's like, hey, the top performing employee this month, they're going to get themselves a nice little $200 bonus as they're way out the door when we hire an 18-year-old. No, like you're not going to do that.
$200 tickets, that's like a nosebleed seat.
Yeah.
For like an NBA ticket.
Yeah. And so we do all these things just because the teams have gone too far. And that's what we're seeing now is like Silver is just like, I don't want to get involved, but you are pushing this too far. The Jazz were doing DNP CDs like dressed active for Svi. And you're like, who cares about Svi? He's got the third best on-court net rating on the Jazz. They win when he plays. They win his minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it matters. They were doing that stuff in December. They were saying Laurie was sick in December. Like Nurk was randomly out in December. They've been doing this and getting worse about it. That's why the Jazz became this like the focal point of it. They're not the only team tanking. The Wizards did it much more subtly. The Wizards are really good when they slow down and play half-court offense defense because they have big athletic guys. You know what they did for the first 2 months? Third highest pace in the league.
Yeah.
And if you watch them, you're like, why are you doing this? You're terrible at it. They want to be.
They want to be.
This is where it goes, and that's where it goes too far. If we just peel back on this a little bit, then we're going to be fine. It's just like, but fans are like, well, this is what I want. And I'm like, I know that you want this because you want Darren Peterson. I get it.
By the way, Heat fans, this is why your team never tanks.
Yeah.
Because the teams who do tank, oftentimes players will develop habits that are hard to grow out of because they're just used to losing a ton.
Yeah.
And on top of that, a lot of these guys who are on losing teams, like go look at those Sixers teams that were tanking. A lot of those dudes were out of the league in a few years. You know what I mean? Like Hollis Thompson didn't survive very long, from being on those teams. Like it is what it is. Big Tony 19. The Jazz are going to come up with even more creative ways to tank now. I doubt we see George the rest of the year.
Good. That's fine. If they had just been, if they had just hit if they had played hard to January 1st and then just got to January 1st and been like, hey, Keontae George has an ankle injury. It's going to be 4 to 6 weeks for his recovery. And then 4 to 6 weeks later, you say recovery, he suffered a setback. He's out another 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. If you had just said Laurie Marketing experiencing hamstring strain, he's suffered a hamstring strain. His recovery will be updated. Just do that.
Yeah.
And we don't have this problem. We don't have this problem. You cannot have a game. I know they won the Heat game, and I understand how stupid it is to be like, but they won it. I get it. But imagine that they had lost the Heat game, and then they play their guys versus the Hornets, and we wind up in a 3-way tie going to the last game of the season for the Southeast Division, which determines home court in the play-in. Like, even as it stands now, what if the Jazz game where like they tanked, but they didn't tank quite as hard as they did versus Orlando is the game that separates 7 and 8 for home court in a playoff environment when no 7 seed has failed to make it into the playoffs? That's how this stuff gets determined.
If George is hurt, it is what it is. I think it's different if you're just pulling guys out mid-game and just sitting them the entire.
Yes, I feel it's different, but some people don't. We talked about at the beginning, like being open. I'm not like I am the arbiter of this. I'm confused by it because I'm just like, really? Like, I get it's more entertaining to watch Laurie and Jaren absolutely fuck up teams for a half. Like, I would want to see that as a Jazz fan to be like, next year we're gonna be awesome. They're gonna be great. But I am just like, you are leading in the fourth quarter. If you're down 30, I don't care. If you're up 30, they sat him in the fourth quarter when they were up 30 versus the Kings, and Jazz fans were like, can we sit them now? And it's like,
it becomes an integrity issue.
About that.
It becomes an integrity issue.
Yes, there's an integrity issue, and that's like, you have to respect it. And if we just peel back a little bit on that, we're going to be fine. That's all people need to do.
And it's not. Listen, this has nothing to do with betting, also, because I know people will make that accusation.
Man, this is nuts to me.
People make that accusation too, where it's like, oh, it's compromising the books, and it's like, look, of all the people who do gambling content, Matt and I don't care about that much, like that piece of it. Like, I don't give a shit about.
You think I'm fucking betting on the Utah Jazz,
right?
In a late January game when I know what they're trying to do? No,
right.
I'm
not trying to get one over on them.
And it's like, well, it's the books. Do you think that the books have a significant handle on a late January Utah Jazz game or the Utah Jazz win total?
Yeah, and by the way, this is why regulation is good, because if there's an abnormality, then you find it, and this is how Terry Rozier.
But everybody's just that's been the funniest part is Utah fans very predictably have gone the moral superiority route.
Yeah,
of like, this is because of degenerate gamblers.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, can we just fucking be adults about this? Like, yes, there is a business component of this. Like, I personally am like, yeah, no, the NBA allows these sports books to offer their lines for their product.
Correct.
Fans betting into that, fans, like bettors or fans, deserve to be betting into an open, honest market. That's it.
Yeah.
But it's also not the primary reason this is a thing.
Chantel, thank you for watching. I do a boxing show with her. You should check it out. The Mandatory with Brian and Chantel will be live on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Adam Silver should resign. She not one who shies away from hot takes. He's done more bad than good. The league's product is terrible. It's not just that teams are tanking. The Warriors are down 10 with 9 minutes to go in the fourth, and they sat Steph the entire game. Superstars don't play as hard anymore. Your thoughts on that award?
I mean, I think I think they got to manage Steph because he's old as shit, and they got to keep him healthy. I think guys are still playing hard. That's one of the things I've been surprised at. But people in like the game, like I think the games until this stretch are great. I'm worried about what that's going to be like next month, but I think the games this year have been great. I think we've had good games the last 2 years.
Yeah,
I think we're in a really.
I am worried about March. I agree with you. I'm worried
yeah,
about
but like March is going to be disgusting. Everybody's banged up. Everybody's exhausted. Like I always say this, a third of the league is tanking. A third of the league is coasting because they're already locked in a playoff spot and they're resting to get healthy, or they're banged up and just trying to get healthy.
And the rest are mid.
And the other, that's the entertaining part. The other part are like, holy shit, we got to get out of the play-in. Like that's the only good thing about the play-in tournament is like the results of the play-in tournament are pretty clear. 7's going to get in, 10's not, 8 or 9 is a coin flip. That's it. But it's done great because now it's like, fuck, we got to get out of the play-in. And so these games between those teams at the end are serious, and it's pretty good.
And the random Nurkic DMPCDs. Big Tony lets us know about that too. All right, I think I've used up all your time.
Appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk.
Absolutely. Follow Matt, HP Basketball, Hardwood Paroxysm on Substack, also the Denver Dig on Substack, also Locked On NBA, Locked On Nuggets, and Buckets on the Action Network feed, where you will find me also multiple times a week, oftentimes with Matt.
If you ever come back to work,
I will be back this week. Is there an episode tomorrow?
I got you. No, there's not an episode tomorrow. It's fine.
Don't we have games Thursday?
Yeah, no, we have an episode tomorrow, but you're not on it.
Oh, damn. So, can I be on it?
We'll talk about it.
Because I can't do Thursday.
We'll talk about it.
All right. We're going to keep going here as Matt takes off. We're going to keep going here for a little bit longer. I'll bring in the guys in a sec. We will we'll wrap on the NBA stuff momentarily. And then very, very briefly at the end of this, I do want to talk a little bit about the Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios fight that's going to be this weekend. And it's a bullshit welterweight title fight. Mario Barrios, for people who don't know, he's the guy that Manny Pacquiao fought last summer and probably should have beaten, but ended up getting a draw. It is what it is. Ryan Garcia, very, very popular on social media, got his ass whooped in his last fight against Rolly Romero and backed into this world title fight. So it's fucking stupid. But let's bring in the guys here, Future and Antonio, to sort of I know, Future, you want to get into this Kevin Durant shit. So yeah. we'll tee you up first. I always feel like you roll one up before you like get on here for a few minutes. From being behind the scenes. Do you think Kevin Durant did it? I feel like that.
Yes, I believe he did it. He has the attitude and the poise to do it. I 100% believe he did it. Allegedly. You gotta use the wording correctly.
Yeah.
But I'm 100% convinced it was him. I mean, the way he is, his attitude and everything, I'm 100% convinced KD isn't. That's KD's burner. I just know for a fact it's KD's burner, and it would be 100 times funnier if it is.
I think it can be. I probably lean on the side of yes, as I said earlier, though. Antonio, do you think Kevin Durant? Do you think that's Kevin Durant?
I think it is. This is not the first time like a burner account of his has been found by the media and other people. So, and he's been open about having burner accounts before. Whether or not these are real tweets that he's put out is, we're still alleged, we have to find out if it's actually true. But, 3 strikes type of thing.
Let's actually see a few more of these before I get into the Ryan Garcia stuff that I want to get into.
Crazy clout chasing if it isn't him though. Crazy clout chasing.
Yeah. So this is Get Off My Dickerson, aka Get Higher 77, who, by the way, has not tweeted in some time. I will say that the account in question has not been as active as of late. But here are some of the other tweets. If I may, I should probably make this a little more. Yeah, there we go. Make this a little.
I'm noticing the join date. It makes way too much sense to me, Katie. August 2021. And like for
August 2021, he had just won a gold medal with Team USA. Because that was late, and
Right.
the next season was a couple months away. But I mean, it's entirely possible.
makes way too much sense. Right after the Olympics, right after gold, like it makes way too much sense. The timing is way too much, bro.
So this is actually a video. Just scrolling through. This is just like weird, like just like just regular stuff. This isn't like some of the incendiary stuff. Oh, that's Daily. Used to work there. I just dropped my blunt. Somebody just what?
What is that?
I didn't see that tweet.
What
Katie,
is
bro. It's Katie.
that?
It has to be Katie, bro. It needs to be.
One of my Bill's got to think about moving Josh Allen to tight end and getting a real quarterback in there.
That is such a that would be such a Katie thing to say.
Oh, by the way, Marvin, you a Commander. Do you know what team Kevin Durant's a fan of in football?
Oh, the
He's
Washington
from DC.
football.
He's
The
from DC.
Washington football.
He's from DC. So there's that piece of this too. So Ryan in the comment asks an important question. Has he claimed it's not? He hasn't said anything, Ryan. It's part of the problem. Like I tweeted this out earlier, Ryan. He hasn't tweeted in a few days. And for somebody who tweets, like if you tweet and don't tweet when something like this happens, so he should come out and claim it's not. I don't know. Maybe like Matt said earlier in the show, is he just on vacation? But this has certainly gotten back to him. I mean, we saw him at the All-Star game on his phone.
Any shot you had of him, he was on his phone. like it's crazy.
Could be business related, whatever. Over here, like
Bro
welcome
was-
to Washington, Marvin.
Bro was tweeting. Bro was shit tweeting. He was shit posting.
You talking about Marvin Harrison, by the way, Marvin Harrison Jr., who's not great. Michael Wilson was playing better than him last year. And tanking before I end on Ryan Garcia stuff. Do you find? I guess I'll ask you both as consumers who are locked in, but probably not to the sicko degree that I am. But I'm curious as to like your experience consuming the NBA is what now compared to maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Anyone in the comments could answer too, because I'm curious about this. I feel like a lot of people's viewing of the NBA has changed. I feel like people are watching less full games now.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am full throttle on the Knicks, but I do not sit and watch games unless it's like in the fourth quarter. Like
you don't watch Knicks games end to end? That's a little surprising.
Dude. Like I every now and then I do, but it's just like it doesn't have me hooked the same as watching a Yankee or Mets.
You do in the playoffs though.
Yeah, the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I like? Do I constantly check the score on Real app? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly looking at the score, making sure, like seeing if we're winning.
But you feel like 5:08 in the second quarter, you're like, I'll watch it later. Like I'll watch it if it's close later.
Because like it's never like even in like I'll watch the fourth quarter even if it's a blowout, only because like it's my team. But like the NBA is just like it's not entertaining. Enjoying my team win is one thing, but the sport itself just it's like the NBA has fallen off so bad. I remember there was a take saying that baseball would fall off and the WNBA would take its place, and I'm like, the
WNBA
NBA
has been great.
The WNBA has been great. And if I'm being honest with you, this is and I'm trying to make this a sex thing or a gender thing. I watch WNBA games more than I watch NBA games.
Okay, good. I was worried about where that will go.
I sit and watch the Liberty from first to fourth more than I watch an NBA game from first to fourth.
WNBA has been awesome for the last, I would say, 8 to 10 years.
The play
progressively, especially within the last 3 to 5. It's like post-COVID, it's gotten up to a different level.
like
A
the
lot of people
level,
will attribute this to Caitlin Clark, and it's like this was happening before. She obviously helped accelerate it, and she was out for most of last year, and last year was still great. And this year she's gonna be a fucking demon, but I think it's well beyond that. Like
No,
Paige
yeah, it's
Beckers, and like even before that, you had Asia Wilson come up. You've had really good draft classes with Sabrina Ionescu also. Like it's
exactly
been ridiculous.
like the level of play isn't the same as the NBA. Let's not
I know
kid
what you
ourselves.
mean. Yeah,
But like
it's more
the
entertaining.
the
So
WNBA has been way more entertaining for many different reasons, but the NBA feels like it's the same slop over and over again, that it's like I've watched enough games to know how this is gonna go.
shorter regular season to WNBA. As they keep adding games, like it's still not nearly as not nearly as
I
long
don't
as the
think you.
NBA.
I don't think it matters how many games there are. It's just the games itself are boring. Yeah, you'll have a close game and you come to the fourth quarter and you're like, oh, I gotta
NBA
watch.
games.
Yeah, NBA games.
Yeah,
But like, it's like it doesn't matter how many games you add or games you remove. It's just not as entertaining as it once was.
I still find the product enjoyable, but to a point. Like I am getting more fed up with just the like I enjoy watching. Like I have League Pass every fucking year, so I watch so many games. Ryan says you still watch every Heat game. He's a Heat fan. I watch, like, there are teams that I love watching. The Hornets have been my League Pass team this year that I watch the most. I watch a ton of Knick games because I cover them. Um, and I watch a ton of other teams that I like getting familiar with. Like Bam, for example, since Ryan's here, Bam's one of my favorite players in the league. I love watching him. Damian Lillard when he's healthy. Donovan Mitchell, I love watching the Cavs. He's there, and I like generally how their offense runs. At the pace they play at. I've loved watching the Pistons this year. So I have teams specifically that I enjoy watching a ton. But we talked about Utah earlier. They're not really a team that I gravitate to necessarily. I like Isaiah Collier. I like Lauri Markkanen. I think the Jaren Jackson trade is interesting. I'm curious about Ace Baisley, though I'm lower on him than consensus. Keontae George has been awesome, but like they're not a team like on League Pass. They're usually not in my multi-view. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's more so gotten to be the case where there's just more teams where I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. Antonio, where are you at with the product right now?
Like I still watch games. I still watch like Knick games. I'll watch like Celtics games. I'll watch like, Detroit basketball because they're kind of good now.
Yeah,
Um,
Detroit's legit.
but I will say a majority of each game is, you know, uh, a screen to drive to a kick, and then you
Kick out
have,
threes. Yep.
yeah,
Corner
exactly,
threes. Yeah.
threes in the corner, threes at the top of the key, and it's literally just the Warriors playbook from their championship runs. So I can understand why, like, sometimes when football is on, when like baseball is on, or even like for me, sometimes on a Monday or a Friday, I'll like tune in to watch WWE in between like some games just because it's a little bit more entertaining. But yeah, the product is definitely, just because that's the way the statistic guys have made the game. It's three ball or die, or you're just getting layups or floaters. That's literally
Yeah.
it.
So I think this year and probably last year, I've seen more different styles than like because we were trending into a direction where it was really 3-pointer bust. And I feel like we've pivoted to where teams have gotten a little different stylistically now. Like the Knicks don't play like the Pistons, for example. You know what I mean? Um, but at the same time, like the end result is very similar. And I think this is where I think it really matters. If you're a casual fan, or if you're a fan who's probably not like a sicko, like you love the NBA, but you're not like you're you're not watching like every single team, every single game. It's like I like watching the NBA at night when I'm home from work, and like I want to put on a game, whatever. And I think some of the people who are like really locked in disregard those people. And I have experience with this in boxing, which I'll tie this in a second. But there are people who are like, oh, you guys, the casual fans, like they don't know what the fuck they're watching. Doesn't matter. Like this is why this is different. This is why this is different. Like they don't screen. They don't screen here. They like doing this from the mid-range area because they want to set up a drive instead of a fucking 3-point shot. They want to do a Spain pick and roll here. They want to like. on some level, people don't want to hear that shit. You know, and this is the same thing I say with boxing fans, where there are boxing is a more niche sport, and people are like not really locked into it in that way. And every so often we'll have like the casual fans come in for like a big fight. When Canelo fights, when Canelo fought Crawford, and then you have new people making all these observations, and then people are like, oh, you don't know what the fuck you're watching, blah 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 blah. And it's like, yo, if you want the sport to grow, those are the people you need to be locked in more often, are the casual fans who tune in every now and again. That's how your product is going to grow. That's how anything is going to grow, is if you have those people become a little bit more involved in just watching once in a while. So I think also like that's why I'm not dismissive of people, especially if they're not like ignorant. If they're like, yo, this is what I think, but I'm not telling you I know everything, then that's fine. We could have a discussion about it, you know, kind of like we were talking about with Matt earlier. I think the bigger issue with the product is just like we were talking about, like the injury stuff, the transparency to the fans. I'm not even saying this as somebody who's like media and covers it. I'm just saying like for like I talk to more basketball fans who just complain about the product, and I don't think their complaints are completely off. You know what I mean? Like Chantel, who commented earlier, who I do a show with, again, the mandatory Bryan and Chantel, if you're into boxing. We have talked about a lot of this stuff too, where I'm like, yo, like the product kind of pisses me off sometimes for all these different reasons as well. What I will say though, I do think the playoffs will be good again. Like the playoffs were really good last year. I do think the playoffs will be good again this year. And we have more of a, yo, who's going to win this title this year? Which I think is going to be interesting and additive. But the regular season shit is really what they have to figure out. That's where I'm at.
Knicks going 3 for 3, baby. They got the cup. They have the shooting. They got the shooting comp.
Star.
And now the finals. They're going 3 for 3.
I think they have the talent to see the way. And by the way, we have a film breakdown up on the New York Post sports account that just went up. Dexter and I did a film breakdown of Knicks Pistons and why the Knicks have struggled with the Pistons this year. So you should want to go check that out. It's actually, I thought it was really well done.
I gotta watch that.
I thought it was really well done. We looked at all the various things, correctable errors, but errors nonetheless. What I will say is, with the Pistons and the Knicks, like Dex is more like, I think the Knicks are going to get to the finals, and I'm more like, I think the Knicks are going to get to the finals, you know, because they have the talent to do so. But I think Detroit's a fucking great matchup. And then Boston's a wild card, and we'll see if Cleveland, I don't trust James Harden, but I trust Donovan Mitchell. So we'll see what Cleveland can do. And Philly's a wild card. And you know how much I like the Hornets this year. I usually throw the Heat in here, but like this year, I'm just not really seeing it with them. But I have healthy respect for Spo and Bam, obviously, and their infrastructure is just this year's just been weird. Ryan says the new TV deal doesn't do them any favors in making it easy to watch the NBA. Well, if you notice, when leagues and businesses and things like just get so much money where they don't really have to care as much, they don't really have to care as much, unfortunately. This is why monopolies are not great for business, folks. Big Tony 19, 10-minute review for hostile act, review for flagrant on a jump shot, review for a clear path foul, another review for a coach's challenge. I do think the reviews are out of hand. I do think the coach's challenge is something that, again, like people who are just watching this stuff, they're like, yo, I don't want to sit through a fucking review. And I think it was Tony who made the point earlier where like, yo, the end of games are ridiculous. Yeah, I actually see it right here. I've said this too, and like, so I watch more games with my fiance now. She's gotten into it, and she's like, "Yo, like the last 2 minutes of these games take fucking 20 minutes. What the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?" And it could be ridiculous. And it's close, but it's also like the thing that people loved about like the Olympics, and the thing that people like about the World Cup, and if you watch Eurobasket and the America Cup and all these different things, is when you watch international competition, the last 2 minutes could actually be like a few minutes. Like maybe you get a review because something's close, but like it's not gonna linger for that long. They keep shit moving.
There's only one thing worse than the NBA being absolutely tarnished, and that's the MLB glazing Ohtani.
What happened?
They literally tweeted saying like Ohtani wore his hat backwards, and the MLB posted saying backwards cap Shohei.
We'll use this opportunity to plug World Baseball Classic content coming soon.
Ah!
I use
The Blaze
content.
is insane.
I'm trying
I
not
need
to
the
use that
I need the
word.
WBC, bro. I need the WBC. Give me
We're gonna do it.
But
Hector Beauchamp will be here. We'll do it. In 2 weeks probably. We'll because that's when the World Baseball Classic will start.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're sending the producers back. Thank you guys as always.
I'll catch you guys later.
We will wrap on Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, which again is a bullshit fight for a welterweight title that honestly should not be taking place. As a matter of fact, before we get doing this, please drop comments if you have them as we wrap here. This won't take very long. I also want to mention Claressa Shields is fighting Franchon Crews-Dezurn. Chantel and I did an interview with Franchon Crews-Dezurn on the mandatory show. You can check that out. This was a few months ago. And she was lobbying for this fight, and we actually agreed that this is a fight that should happen, and she's going to fight Claressa Shields. This is a rematch, but the first time they fought each other, Franchon Crews-Dezurn had a 2-week training camp to prepare for the fight, and this was the first fight of her career and the first fight of Claressa Shields' career, and this was also 10 years ago. So now it's maybe it can play out a little bit different. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's going to be Sunday. Saturday is Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios for the WBC Welterweight Championship. I'm going to quickly here, I'm going to post the betting odds, and then I'm going to show you the card. So just real quick, that's not appetizing at all. Okay, this is a little bit better. DraftKings, you see here, you got Ryan Garcia minus 250, Mario Barrios 195. It's going to be similar across the books. The expectation here is that Ryan Garcia wins this, but I wouldn't feel great about that. He should. Talent-wise, he absolutely should. 24-2, 20 knockouts. Mario Barrios 29-2-2 with, I want to say 18 knockouts. Mario Barrios, as mentioned earlier, WBC champion who won his title. Well, he was an interim champion first. Should mention that. He was an interim champion first. He beat the shit out of Yordenis Ugas, who I thought was an underrated champion and a test at welterweight. ¿Qué pasó, Alan? Was good. Get people up Puerto Rico always. I want to get, Alan, actually, can you help me out here? Because I'm looking for, I don't know if you see here, but I got a Puerto Rican flag behind me, but I'm looking for the light blue one, and I can't find one that's not a 12-pack on Amazon. Trying to find somewhere where I can order a little 4x6 and put that there instead of the other blue one that I got. I actually got this from a Amanda Serrano fight, but I've been trying to find a light blue Puerto Rican flag. And wow, that was a bad slip. Sorry about that. And to put it behind me there, Fabian Maidana also lost to Mario Barrios in 2024. Abel Ramos had a draw with him on the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul card in late 2024, which Amanda Serrano was also a part of, by the way. And ultimately, like, Mario Barrios was at a very unspectacular run. He was basically elevated from interim champion to full champion at WBC and fought Manny Pacquiao last year in a fight that I thought Mario Barrios had no business losing going into the fight and coming away from it. I was like, man, like, did you really just box Manny Pacquiao to a draw, a dude who hadn't fought in 4 years and hadn't won in 6 leading up to this fight, and who was closer to 50 than he is 40. And it was just an unserious performance from Mario Barrios, who wasn't using his jab, wasn't using his size advantage at all, wasn't being aggressive, wasn't like taking advantage of the opportunities presented to him from a Manny Pacquiao who's obviously slower, who wasn't terrible, by the way. Like, he earned the draw, but Mario Barrios, you're in your athletic prime, man. Like, come on. I know you share the ring with one of the greats, but it was just an unserious performance. Speaking of unserious, you have Ryan Garcia coming into this, who the Devin Haney controversy coming off of that, never in his career fought at like real welterweight, right? Like you had the 143 pound, you want to call it a catch weight, but like he was still in the super lightweight division technically. In 2023, he wins that fight, unspectacular performance, but gets a stoppage against Oscar Duarte, who, by the way, is on this card and is fighting Richardson Hitchens. And then he has this fight. This is one that the casuals know about, probably. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Barclays Center, April 2024. No contest. Ryan Garcia won the fight. Was a no contest because he popped dirty for all the drugs. And basically showed up overweight to the fight too. So it was supposed to be for the 140-pound title. He didn't win the title because he showed up overweight. Devin Haney has since moved to welterweight unspectacularly until he beat the hell out of Brian Norman Jr. or I wouldn't say that, outboxed Brian Norman Jr. last year for the championship, for a championship, WBO welterweight title. And right now you have Ryan Garcia coming off this performance, his only fight last year. Rolly Romero, by the way, speaking of coming off things, he was a big underdog for this fight. Like Ryan Garcia was a big favorite. Was he minus like 1,100 favorite, minus 1,000 favorite, something along those lines at one point. And Rolly Romero coming into this fight never fought at welterweight either. Unspectacular win against Manuel Jaime. Not unspectacular, but just like a one-sided victory that was just kind of like, yeah, we expect you to do this. Got his ass whooped by Isaac Cruz, was getting his ass whooped by Ismael Barroso, and got a bullshit stoppage. One of the worst stoppages you're ever going to see. And that just basically ruined Barroso's career. Lost to Gervonta Davis, actually looked pretty good in the first few rounds before he got stopped, and just an unspectacular run for Rolly Romero heading into the Ryan Garcia fight. And then he goes in there and outboxes Ryan Garcia at welterweight. Inexplicably, these two guys had never fought before, became the top contenders for the vacant WBA welterweight championship. Ryan Garcia loses this fight where he's a big favorite because they want to set up Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney too. Rolly Romero plays spoiler, beats the shit out of him in Times Square, drops him also, jabs, like the best his jab has ever looked. Dropped him in the second round, outboxes him, wins that fight easily, going away. Rolly Romero's a champion now. By the way, don't know when he's going to fight next. I don't think he has an official fight date, but now we have this main event where Mario Barrios is defending his title against a dude who's getting another title shot despite having never been a welterweight before, never been a contender at welterweight before, lost his first opportunity against a guy who's never been a welterweight before, and is getting this opportunity against a guy who's seen as a weak champion because they're dying to get Ryan Garcia a championship. And the worst part of it is that Ryan Garcia can actually win this fight because he's talented enough to do so and because Mario Barrios is not really that guy. That's where we're at with the sport right now. It's a silly fight. It's a dumb fight. And ultimately, I'm going to watch it because I'm a fucking idiot who covers the sport. Mario Barrios is not going to win this fight unless he gets serious and maybe does some of the things that Rolly Romero did. And Ryan Garcia is a wild card who you can't really trust on a night-to-night basis. But talent-wise, he should win this fight. But talent doesn't always matter in boxing, as we've seen time and time again. I just can't stand it. This is a welterweight championship fight. Like, but I'm one of the idiots who cares about integrity in a sport that doesn't have much left. But regardless, speaking of Oscar Duarte, as mentioned earlier, he's going to fight IBF super lightweight champion, junior welterweight champion would be accurate, Richardson Hitchens. Richardson Hitchens, 20-0, Brooklyn native, a guy that I've interviewed multiple times early on in his career. One time he had to leave a press conference very early in his career when he was fighting on the undercard of Sean Porter versus Andre Berto. And he had to leave the press conference early because he had to pay a parking meter. It was early on in his career. Actually asked him about that after. We had a good laugh about that. Richardson Hitchens at a different point of his career now, obviously. Very skilled, very talented counterpuncher. And people find him boring. I get it. Counterpunching style, not for everybody. Don't blame you. You got the counterpuncher against Oscar Duarte, who's a puncher. We'll see what happens here. Richardson Hitchens has neutralized guys like this before, but also probably should have lost to Gustavo Lemos, who Oscar Duarte could channel in some ways, although he can fight that style with more size. He has a 71-inch reach. He's a 5'9" frame. He can hit. He can crack in this division. Richardson Hitchens still has the reach advantage at 74 inches, but this is a more interesting fight to me, even though I understand the hesitancy around Richardson Hitchens, who just beat the shit out of George Kambosos, but I know a lot of people don't respect George Kambosos, so it is what it is. I thought his performance against Leon Parra was great, though. I'll say that much. It was great. Gustavo Lemos is the one that's a little iffy, and then also he had another fight that was like real. Was it Argenis Mendez? Might have been Argenis Mendez. That was like, oh, that was closer than expected. But I think Hitchens will get that done probably by decision. I'd be a little surprised if he wins by stoppage. But listen, Ryan Garcia stopped harder puncher. Ryan Garcia stopped Oscar Duarte, and Richardson Hitchens stopped George Kambosos, who hadn't been stopped prior to that. So most likely he'll win by decision. We'll see. Gary Antoine Russell versus Andy Hiroka. This fight has been rumored for a long ass time. WBA championship. They're not posting that here because WBA is not recognized by BoxRec. What's going on, Rob? I'm gonna get to your comment in a second. Gary Antoine Russell versus Andy Hiroka. Gary Antoine Russell's fucking really good. The only loss he has is Alberto Puello. Alberto Puello is a talented, scrappy fighter who tested positive before and has come back, and since apparently is clean now, so whatever. But Gary Antoine Russell's good. Beat the shit out of Jose Valenzuela in one of the worst title defenses we saw in boxing last year. Jose Valenzuela was a champion coming in. He had beaten Isaac Cruz, which I thought was a brilliant performance, and then went out there and shit the bed against Gary Antoine Russell after he told me in an interview that he was the best super lightweight in the world. He's at Zuffa now. Good luck to him. Gary Antoine Russell's great. Gary Antoine Russell's great. Andy Hiroka is not a chump, though. That's going to be a good fight. I actually think that's the best fight on this card. I think Gary Antoine Russell gets it, but Andy Hiroka is super talented. For people who haven't seen him, he's also a knockout artist as well. 5'11", which is a tremendous frame for this weight class. It's not going to be an easy fight at all. I am concerned about the layoff. He hasn't fought since September of 2024. He did stop Ismael Barroso, who we mentioned earlier. He beat the shit out of him. Doesn't have a ton of big wins otherwise. But that was one that showed, oh, okay, he's ready for this level. Gary Antoine Russell has knocked out everybody he's fought except for 2 people. Jose Valenzuela and Alberto Puello in his most recent 2 fights. But before that, he was on a tear. Ken Cruz, Rancis Barthelemy, early stoppage. Victor Postol, who doesn't get stopped often, who hadn't been stopped prior to that except for one other time, I believe. Or no, that was the first time. Then Elvis Rodriguez got him after. Giovanni Santiago. He also stopped him. Giovanni Santiago, I thought, got robbed against Adrian Broner once. And then we also have Frank Martin versus Nahir Albright. Frank Martin, who got a great knockout against Rancis Barthelemy earlier, and Nahir Albright, who is coming off a big win against Kelvin Davis in a very, very controversial night where he seemingly got attacked after, and Keyshawn Davis looked like shit because of his involvement in the situation and jumped him allegedly, reportedly. Nahir Albright deserves better. So good to see him get a big opportunity here against Frank Martin in a fight where he could potentially pull off an upset. Frank Martin is really, really skilled. Underrated, I think. I like that was a real win for Tank. I don't think it's it's the same as like if Tank beat Shakur Stevenson. It's not that, but that was a real win for Tank. Frank Martin was a real contender. He beat Michelle Ali Rivera in a really captivating like contest going into it, and he just made it a one-sided affair. Like that was something where the boxing nerds were like, "Oh, a showbox got undefeated versus undefeated." I think Frank Martin was the B-side for that too, and he went in there and just outboxed Rivera. Then you also had the Artem Haratunian fight, which, by the way, it probably like that fight was in serious jeopardy until Haratunian took a knee in round 12. Frank Martin didn't look particularly awesome in that, and then Gervonta Davis fought him after. Go figure. Nonetheless, that's a fucking good fight. Frank Martin versus Nahir Albright's a really, really good fight. And then you got Amari Jones and Joshua Edwards. Joshua Edwards is gonna be good. So it's a good card. Rob says, just tuning in, how about them Canes? Another nail-biting finish. Shout out to all the college basketball watchers out there. I am on NBA draft watch. Although ironically, I wasn't watching a college prospect a little bit earlier, but I was doing some tape. Sounds so douchey. I was watching some clips of Kareem Lopez, who I've been high on for a little bit, who's playing in the Australia League, who's with New Zealand. And Kareem Lopez is a talented wing who could defend, switchable. He's moved down a bit, though. He used to be a top 10 mocked guy, and now he's like in the late 20s. We'll see where he lands. But yeah, I think Kareem Lopez is he's being stepped on a little bit. That's neither here nor there. But that's basically where we're at with this boxing card. And real quick, actually, since I'm here, I just Well, we should talk about Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields is a legitimately one of one just athlete who's ridiculously accomplished, who's more accomplished than many of your favorite athletes, who pisses a lot of people off because of how she conducts herself outside of the ring. Um, which I understand. I get it. I get that a lot of people are annoyed by her. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, she isn't annoying, but I enjoy Claressa Shields, and I think she's an excellent, excellent fighter. Who's fighting a real this is something we've been waiting for, right? In terms of like real competition, we want Claressa Shields to fight Shadeja Green. We do want that. I want her at some point to fight Tam T-Bolt when Tam T-Bolt's ready. Not yet. Not yet. But Tam T-Bolt, I think, is going to be sensational. But Lonnie Daniels, Daniel Perkins, Vanessa Lepage Ioani, and Maricela Cordejo. Yeah. The Savannah Marshall win is great. I think this is the best win of her career, maybe. Oh, what? Oh, hold on. I spoke too soon. We have to, the Hannah Gabriel's one. The Hannah Gabriel's one was Claressa Shields got dropped in round one, came back and won that. I thought that proved a little something. But Franchon Crews-Dezurn, as mentioned earlier, late 2016, these two women fought each other almost 10 years ago, made their debut, both of them as pros. Claressa Shields is going to fight Franchon Crews-Dezurn again. And as mentioned earlier, Franchon Crews-Dezurn, we did an interview with her on the Mandatory Show. You should check that out. All three of us, Chantel Shan, myself, Franchon Crews-Dezurn, all thought this rematch was warranted. Franchon Crews-Dezurn is coming off a big win against Shadeja Green. Well, she's had a win since then, but the big win against Shadeja Green in a I believe that might have been even an upset a little bit. And I was actually at the Amanda Serrano fight, so I covered the Amanda Serrano fight that she had against Danilo Ramos in Orlando around that time because my brother. It's crazy how life works. My brother got married in Orlando around that time. And it just so happened that during that week, Amanda Serrano was fighting in Orlando, which is how I got this Puerto Rican flag behind me, by the way. And we cover that. And that's when they also announced Shadeja Green versus Franchon Crews-Dezurn later that year. And so I actually have somewhere, and I posted the press conference about the press conference announcing that fight, and a big win for Franchon Crews-Dezurn. I'm excited to see this fight get made with Claressa Shields. I mean, obviously Claressa Shields is a favorite; she is expected to win, but I think Franchon Crews-Dezurn can make this an interesting fight. A kind of a gritty one. This is going to be Sunday night as well. This card, by the way, has Samantha Worthington, who's an interim champion, WBA, at 140, who I think is really worth probably paying attention to in that 140-pound division. Samantha Worthington is. She's got some power too. Now she's fighting Edith Matisse, who's a journeywoman, on a bit of a winning streak, but I want to say Amanda Serrano stopped her before, if I'm not mistaken, years ago. No, did I imagine that? No, not her. I think I'm confusing her with somebody else from Argentina. But at the same time, Samantha Worthington is good. I think she's worth watching. So this is not a one fight card for me. Daniel Perkins is back on this too. Jasmine Hampton too. You have some actually decent prospects on here, but that's going to be Sunday. We'll see what happens there. As far as the odds go, Claressa Shields is minus 2,500. So, hey, man, it is what it is. Rob, as we get ready to get out of here, and thank you for everybody for chiming in. We're doing this live Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Although next Tuesday night I have Knicks duties, and the Knicks are playing the Cavs, and I'm going to be doing a post game show for that. So next week I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Maybe I'll push it to Wednesday. Maybe I'll make it Monday. Maybe I'll make it earlier Tuesday. Don't know yet. TBD. But there will be a show next week, at least one. Rob says, any thoughts on MVP bringing MMA to Netflix? Super excited to see Ronda Rousey. Rondi. That's how you know I need to end the show. Ronda Rousey back out there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love this. Just from the standpoint of like Gina Carano, who she's fighting against, who's another MMA pioneer for the women, who I think deserves a ton of respect, but she hasn't fought since 2009. There's at least 2 people that I talked to who cover this stuff who are skeptical that this fight actually happens, but Ronda Rousey's flirted with this idea for a while, it appears. I'm not too into it. I gotta be honest. I'm not too into it. If it was Ronda Rousey versus Cyborg, I'd be into that. But Cyborg actually wants to fight Claressa Shields. I'm not too into it, Rob. I gotta be honest. But I'm not mad at MMA being on Netflix. You know, I don't want UFC to continue to have a monopoly over MMA because you've seen what it's done to the sport. Speaking of sports that I thought were probably better 10 years ago, I don't think MMA is bad now, but it's not as good as it was 10 years ago, I would say, when Ronda Rousey was active, being one of the reasons, but like not the only reason, obviously. Like you had a real heavyweight division, you had like more depth in some of the lighter weight classes, more interesting guys who were like characters, and yeah, it's different now. But yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't know. I mean, this, and then you have Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson being announced around the same time. Just not great. Not great, but we'll end the show there. We'll be back at some point next week. I have Knicks Cavs duties. We'll see what happens. Watch the film study that Dex and I did on the New York Post YouTube channel on the Knicks Pistons, why the Knicks are struggling with the Pistons this year. The Pistons are really, really good. They cut, they defend, they switch, they're physical. They don't just jack up a whole bunch of threes. That's not their thing at all. So if you like old school stuff, you know, they kind of remind me of the Thunder team. And I've made this comparison. I've been doing this for probably months, but they remind me of the Thunder team before the Thunder won the championship, like that team that lost in the second round to Dallas. Except I think this Pistons team, I think they should get farther. We'll see. Than the second round of the playoffs. The Pistons are good. Pistons are good. Knicks are good too. They're talented. They for some reason they just don't put it together consistently enough. But they play on Thursday night. We'll be doing a watch along for that on the Post channel as well. So I'll be there. And yeah, more to come very soon. Thank you for watching the Bryan Fonseca Show. Again, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Although the under most circumstances, we'll let you guys know about next week because I have Knicks Cavs duties. But thank God for watching. Take care. And follow on Twitch because I just stream there and I don't do anything else. And like I need people to support the Twitch channel too. I need to wrap this up. Thanks.